Have you ever proved someone wrong using their own contract? I found the place by accident while scrolling through listings for cheap rooms. One advert stood out: property guardians wanted. The idea was simple. Empty buildings are less likely to be damaged if people live in them, so guardian companies place short-term residents inside for a low fee. The owner gets security through occupancy, the guardian company takes a cut, and the residents get incredibly cheap living arrangements in unusual buildings. This particular advert was for a recently closed pub on the edge of town. I went to the viewing expecting something run down, but the place was enormous. The bar area alone was bigger than any flat I'd ever lived in. There were 2 sets of toilets, a fireplace, built-in pub decor, and full access to the commercial kitchen, the cellar, the garage, the car park, and a huge garden. All bills included for just a few $100 a month. I signed the license agreement the same day and moved in with a handful of other guardians. Living there was strange in all the best ways. My room was essentially the whole bar. I hung curtains, built temporary dividers, and turned it into a cozy living space. The building was due to be demolished eventually, so the company didn't care what we did with the interior. People came and went, but a few of us stayed long-term and treated the place like a quirky shared home. Aside from the occasional odd character passing through, it was a comfortable setup. The owner of the guardian company was a loud, red-faced man who liked to act as though he was in charge of a major operation. In reality, he managed a handful of properties and communicated mostly through abrupt emails. As long as rent was paid, he left us alone. That changed when my time there came to an end. I moved out, returned my keys, and waited for my security deposit. Then the emails started. A car had appeared on the property sometime before I left. I barely noticed it because one of the previous guardians, who I'll call Rob, had moved it to the back and worked on it occasionally. I assumed it was his. The owner's first email, however, claimed it was dumped, insisted we were all responsible for removing it, and even suggested pushing it onto the public road so the council would deal with it. I replied and made it clear it wasn't mine. Over the next few days, his tone escalated. He said we had all failed to report a serious incident, that we were all accountable, and that our deposits were at risk. He kept repeating that all guardians were responsible, no matter who actually did what. I mentioned small claims court as a warning shot, not thinking he'd take the bait. He responded with a long email declaring we had no tenancy rights, that we were only licensees, that we were there to act as security, and that we had breached the license by not reporting the car. He also attached photos of furniture left behind by other guardians, claiming we were all responsible for every item. That was his mistake. If we weren't tenants, then everything fell strictly under contract law. So I pulled out the license agreement and read every line. 2 clauses immediately stood out. First, the damage security payment only covered damages caused by the individual guardian, not by anyone else. The agreement never said guardians were jointly responsible, so he couldn't legally charge me for anything left by others. Then came the golden clause. Under section 3.1, the contract stated that the guardian company provided security to the property owner, not the residents. We weren't security staff, we were simply occupants. Finally, clause 10.1.10, the guardian shall not remove anything from the property other than items they brought there. That meant I was prohibited from removing the car or the furniture. His demands directly violated his own contract. I sent a final email laying out the clauses clearly. I stated that I would not remove items I did not bring, that the license itself forbade me from doing so, and that my deposit must be returned within 3 working days or I would file a claim. His reply was short and rattled. He said he'd see me in court and told me not to contact him unless through a solicitor. 3 days passed, no refund, so I filed the small claims papers. He received them the next morning. Within 24 hours, every guardian received their deposit back. My court fees were paid as well. No apology, no further emails, just the money quietly transferred with the clear hope that the matter would disappear. And that was that. Sometimes all it takes is reading the contract someone else assumed you never would.